RPN is not responsible for the views, actions, statements, or opinions of its guests, advertisers, or even its viewers. The information contained in this program is not to be confused with medical or legal advice. An appearance on this platform is not necessarily an endorsement, but as always, we encourage you to do your own research. Enjoy the show. Good evening, everyone. And of course, welcome back. Yes, my friends, to another very exciting episode of Red Pill News Live. All right, my friends, we have a lot to talk about today. I don't think we're probably going to get to everything. Lisa just touched down a little bit early in Daytona, so I do not want to keep her waiting for too long, but I definitely have a series of stories that I want to make sure we go over today. And, of course, top among them is going to be exposing the Amnesty Act, which is really the Dignity Act, a.k.a. the Dignitad Act. Already done that a little bit, but now that I've had a chance to actually take a look at the text of the bill, it is far, far worse than they would have you believe. Like I say in the title, they think you're stupid. We simply cannot hate them enough. Maria Elvira Salazar. Sad thing is, President Trump has already endorsed her, but there is still an opportunity for a brave patriot to file to run against her in Florida's 27th congressional district. Will someone pick up the mantle? I don't know, but I sure wish they would. We've also got a couple of updates on Eric Swalwell. Of course, there's new information on the situation in Iran. President Trump is putting CNN on blast. And quite a few more. So do me a favor, sit back, relax, and grab your popcorn, my friends, because we're going to get into it right about now. All right, my friends, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I hope you're having a lovely day. I see we are live on all of the platforms, and I have said hello everywhere. Hope you guys are having a good day. Like I said, my lovely wife has just dropped down in Daytona, and of course, she's got to get her luggage, but I don't want to keep her waiting for hours, so this show is, suffice to say, not going to go until 8 o'clock tonight. Before we get into all of the news, I do have a message for you from the sponsors of today's program. First of all, you guys, Maria Morera. She's a woman. She was born in 1907. This is when horses still shared the streets with cars. Cars, obviously, slightly different at that time, but she lived through 2 world wars. She lived through the Spanish War. She lived through the rise of the internet. And when she finally passed away in August of 2024, she was 117 years old. At that time, she was the world's oldest person. Now, after her death, researchers examined something remarkable about Maria's life. They found several similar patterns as they discovered in other people. The biggest thing about Maria and why she was so healthy is because her gut microbiome was remarkably diverse in beneficial bacteria. And scientists studied other similar people that had reached a similar age, and they found a pattern amongst all of them. Greater microbial diversity and a stronger gut balance. These are traits that are directly linked to immune health, heart health, and yes, even brain health. You see, your gut microbiome is not just about digestion. It reflects how well your body adapts and functions over time. And when your gut stays diverse and supported, you gain strength instead of losing it as the years start to add up. That's why Maria's story matters. Longevity isn't just a one miracle solution. It's about daily habits over time that end up stacking up to help you nourish your body through your internal environment. And consuming kimchi is the strongest and simplest way to help replenish beneficial bacteria and maintain microbial balance, which is why Brightcore created Kimchi 1. So happy they're sponsoring the show. They deliver the benefits of fermented kimchi in a very convenient capsule form to help restore your gut's natural balance every single day. And today, because they're sponsoring the show, you can get 25% off your order when you use the code REDPILL at the link below, or for the best deal, you can actually just call Brightcore at 888-383-5996. You can detox your body, rebuild your gut, and take your health into your own hands starting today. Once again, to get the best deal, give them a call at 888-383-5996. Get up to 50% off, free shipping, and they've even got a free special offer for people who give them a call. So thank you so much once again to Brightcore, and thank you to Kim for hanging out with us yesterday. I love every time Kim is here. She has so much information, and she helps put certain things into perspective. Now, I would like to let everyone here know from Joel Gilbert, my friend Joel Gilbert. He was the creator of the Dreams from My Real Father, the documentary about Barack Hussein Obama. He's been one of the primary researchers behind the investigations into Letitia James and Eric Swalwell. He even did a documentary about Michelle Obama. Well, Joel is also the man who sent criminal referrals for a number of those people to the Department of Justice. And it turns out, based upon Joel's recent efforts looking into Eric Swalwell's FEC filings, it's not just Eric Swalwell that is in trouble for the siphoning off of donor funds from their campaign account. In fact, Brittany Swalwell, the wife of Eric Swalwell, is also under investigation, and that's because Joel also filed a Department of Labor complaint. If you'll remember, Brittany and Eric Swalwell hired a nanny from, I believe, Brazil, who was an illegal alien. Her name is Amanda Barbosa, and there is a paper trail, a pattern of evidence that you can find through the various pieces of paperwork that were filed by Brittany and Eric Swalwell. You see, Brittany made a calculated error. She lied on her application when she attempted to legalize her and Eric's nanny, Amanda. And she could face not only perjury charges, but also immigration fraud charges. Because after Amanda was denied, Brittany and Eric kept Amanda here in the United States illegally, and they took her off the books and they began to pay her in cash, which certainly explains a part of the reason why they had so much money coming in cash for childcare out of their personal campaign account. Eric and Brittany Swalwell are just finding themselves in all sorts of trouble these days. You know, it's one thing when it's one thing when Eric Swalwell is in trouble, but it's another thing entirely when his wife is also in trouble. Now, of course, after all of this has finally hit the mainstream, and we've learned about not only the crimes that I just mentioned, but of course also we've got the residency, we've got now this burgeoning sex abuse scandal. Eric Swalwell and his campaign team have been forced to actually respond to all of the controversy. Now, I need to send an email off. I forgot to send somebody a link to the show. Let me do that. Oh, that is the wrong one. Okay, boom. Live now. Hope he gets it. There you go. All right, so the Swalwell campaign cannot be happy. They have been exposed in a very, very serious way. Democrats are already not doing particularly well in the California run for governor this year, and they are certainly not happy about a beautiful young Democrat activist, a female, who has brought together a bevy of other women, young women, that previously worked for Eric Swalwell, or at least knew him in a carnal capacity. They are not happy that their former boss, is being accused of sexually harassing innocent women. Now, the reporting previously showed that Cheyenne Hunt, a young attorney, former congressional candidate, she says that now a number of women are preparing to accuse Eric Swalwell of sexual misconduct. And then, of course, we also learned there's another group of additional young women who have gone to a separate venue, a mainstream media reporter, because for whatever reason, they still trust in the mainstream media. That's how you know they're Democrats. Now, Miss Hunt, she's the executive director of Gen Z for Change. She says she's been working with multiple of these women who intend to come forward. In her post on social media, she said DMs and Snapchat messages range from uncomfortable comments to what I am most excited about, potentially criminal conduct. I got involved, she said, because the first victim who approached me is a close friend. But when I saw that there were others, many others, whose experiences fit the same pattern of manipulation and abuse of power, I knew I couldn't stay silent. Now, Miss Hunt also released that video, a series of videos, if I can be honest, where she said that Swalwell has a known history of being predatory towards women. In fact, one of the other candidates for governor, Katie, what's her name? That real bitchy woman, Katie Porter. Katie Porter, the woman who is also running for California governor. She's a Southern California Democrat. Eric is a Bay Area Democrat. So if I had to put a source of perhaps at least some of these claims, I would say it's probably coming from the Katie Porter campaign because, you know, Katie Porter, she thought, oh, maybe she was going to have it in the bag this time because there wasn't really many people who were running for governor. But of course, her attitude is so atrocious. She's just a terrible person. And every single time she gets on camera, it makes my skin crawl. I'm sure it makes your skin crawl as well. But Katie Porter is sitting at about 8 to 10%. Eric Swalwell is a little bit higher, around 14%. I don't know if that's going to be that much longer, but I'm sure she figures if she can get rid of Eric Swalwell, then at the very least, perhaps she will be the only Democrat that makes it past the finish line. But of course, people would have to swallow their lunch and vote for Katie Porter, and I don't know that many people are going to be willing to do that. Unexpected Gurgle says, Trump endorsed Steve Hilton. What the fuck? I mean, who is he supposed to endorse? I mean, it's either the Democrat sheriff who became a Republican, and to be frank with you, I mean, I'm glad he did that stuff with the ballots, but, I mean, why didn't he do it previously? Why did he wait until election season? It seems like a perfectly timed stunt to put his name and face in front of patriotic Americans who care about election security. If you look at that dude's record, he's a Democrat, all right? Like, you know, he may be saying certain things. Steve Hilton, he's been a Republican for a long time, but let's also be honest, all of those people are California politicians. Is any of them really much better than the others? Certainly I knew the Democrats I wouldn't want to vote for, but Hilton and the other guy, the sheriff, I mean, I don't know. I mean, President Trump tends to do a bit of a geometric equation on these things, you know? He takes a look at who's running, and he figures out through his own people based upon sentiment of the public and, you know, obviously support they have behind them, who is most likely to win. President Trump tends to endorse people that he believes are going to win, even if that person is not necessarily the best candidate, which is frustrating for many of us out here because I think a lot of people believe that all a candidate needs is President Trump to, you know, give them the knighthood, you know. I swear before you, you will protect the realm from all dangers, you know, whatever it might be. Yeah, Hilton is the only hope in California, I'm thinking, guys. Anyways, so she did show some of these messages. One of the messages said, you know, Eric Swalwell has slept with many of his interns and make them all sign NDAs so they don't speak up, right? Well, obviously, that doesn't surprise me. I'm sure Eric Swalwell cut them a check. We were kind of, you know, formulating an idea the other day that perhaps Eric Swalwell had also given payouts to some of these women through the sex abuse fund, the slush fund that's paid by American taxpayers. Now, yeah, we don't know. We haven't gotten any word on any of those things. But if it's true and it's happened, I'm thinking that that's probably going to come out. So continuing on, we've already seen the video, but I want to hear what the Swallows Well campaign is saying. Micah Beasley is the spokesperson for Eric Swalwell in the campaign. I believe that's a woman. She gave a statement to Politico yesterday. She said, oh, and I'm sorry, he, or maybe, I don't know, whoever Micah is, Micah gave the statement, basically said that the allegations are false and outrageous, but also accused Hunt of teaming up with MAGA conspiracy theorists. There we go. We got to take her down because she's doing something that might align with the views of President Trump. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of people who freak out anytime the United States does something that Israel might say, that's good, we want them to do that. Because it's just how geopolitics works. I mean, sometimes the interests of two foreign nations are going to align, but it doesn't mean that the decision to pursue that route was made because the other nation is telling us to do it. It's like she said in her announcement, she was like, I was worried about coming forth because people were going to say that I was helping Trump. Well, you know what? You're also helping these girls who Eric Swalwell allegedly sexually harassed. So what's the better move? Are you not supposed to do something because Trump might benefit from it, because the patriots might benefit from it, if it means that you're going to expose a creepy politician? You know, I mean, that's just how it works. That's how the world works. It's not black and white. The announcement said, this false, outrageous rumor is being spread 27 days before an election begins by flailing opponents who have sadly teamed up with MAGA conspiracy theorists because they know Eric Swalwell is the frontrunner in this race, Beasley asserted. Beasley also later added in the statement that Swalwell never forced anyone to sign an NDA. He probably got them on camera saying, now, you are signing this NDA of your own choice and volition, correct? As he's handing them a check. In 13 years, no one in Eric Swalwell's congressional office has ever been asked to sign an NDA, ever. You know how he could also have plausible deniability for that is if he walked away and then one of his aides said, honey, just sign the paper. Just sign the paper. We'll cut you a check. You just get out of here and just forget about when the congressman grabbed your ass. The other thing is, the other reason I think that Katie Porter might have something to do with this is because the staff between Porter and Swalwell undoubtedly would have known each other. So you probably had girls working for Eric Swalwell coming and speaking with girls who worked for Porter. Those girls who worked for Porter was like, geez, she's a real see you next Tuesday. And the girls working for Swalwell were like, geez, he's always trying to get me to give him a blowjob. You know, everybody's talking about it. So at this point, there's no evidence that we have yet. However, I think it's forthcoming. We're going to get this. It is undoubtedly a problem for Eric Swalwell. And of course, he's going to do whatever he needs to do to try to shut down all the rumors before it gets there. But if Cheyenne delivers and these women come forward and there is a big media expose, Eric Swalwell is going to have a real hard time. Remember, believe all women. Believe all women is what people are going to say. Well, Eric Swalwell's not going to be saying it. All right, I also have an update for you on that tragic 4-alarm, maybe an 11-alarm fire yesterday at the warehouse, the toilet paper warehouse in California. The reporting was that it started inside the building. Well, it turns out it was definitely an employee of the building because this moron, videotaped himself and put it on Instagram. And of course, he's not like an American sounding name. Chamel Abdulkalamiri or something like that is what it is. Anyways, he's being arrested. Kamel Abdul Karim, 29. He's from Highland. He's been arrested on 2 felony arson charges for torching the warehouse. It was a Kimberly-Clark warehouse, so toilet paper all the way for Kimberly-Clark. Don't know if he's illegal, don't know if he's naturalized, but that name tells you everything you need to know. Let's take a look at the video, guys, because, well, first of all, here's a bunch of still shots. It looks like he took a bunch of incendiary devices, he lit them, and then set them at the base of the stacks of toilet paper. Literally went around. Now, do you guys realize how big this freaking warehouse is? It's like 11 city blocks. It is a gigantic warehouse, and the loss of product, the amount of money that the Kimberly-Clark Corporation lost as a result of this, I'm sure that they're going to make sure this guy pays handily. Hold on, how can I make this bigger? I need to make the screen smaller. Oh, come now. Let me see if I can. Okay, here we go.
Should have paid us enough to fucking live. You know, we may not get paid enough to fucking live, but these bitches dirt cheap. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. All you had to do was pay us enough to fucking live. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. There goes your inventory.
What a genius. You know, he's upset he doesn't have enough to live. He's not going to have anything to live on now. And all of his fellow employees are also not going to have anything to live on. So the video is legitimate. It's being confirmed. Abdul Karim was captured near the intersection of Harrison Avenue and Limonite Avenue in Eastvale near Ontario, California. As we saw yesterday, the fire basically took out the entire way. I mean, it did. The walls are still standing, but I don't know that they're going to be able to even use anything that's left on site. I mean, all that's left is basically a facade. So thank God this firebug is being held without bail at the West Valley Detention Center in Rancho Cucamonga. I said 11 square blocks. That is 1.2 million square feet of inventory that literally went up in flames. Let me just say to everybody here, I don't believe that any of you would ever do something like this. I feel like it requires a very special type of stupid, a brilliant type of retardation to engage in this type of behavior. But I just want to say that nothing is ever bad enough to make you do something like this. Like, for a person to make the decision to do something like this, to completely destroy their life, it really is shocking to me. And I hope this guy goes to prison for a very long time. All right, now let's talk about the so-called Dignity Act. Before we do, I do have a very brief message from our friends at the Kids Guide. So let me just pull that up, and then we'll talk all about the Dignity Act. All right, parents, grandparents, it's time for us to have a very quick conversation because America is about to hit a major milestone. We are coming up on our 250th birthday. That is 250 years of American sweat, grit, sacrifice, and the greatest experiment in self-government the world has ever known. This is the perfect time to teach your kids about why this country matters so much, why we care about what's happening, not just the fireworks and the hot dogs, but the underlying meaning. And there is a free kids guide called The Kids Guide to America's 250th Birthday. It's honestly a great way to begin the process of introducing your kids to just how it was this country began, who the founding fathers were, what they risked, why the ideas they fought for still matter, even now 250 years later. The guide is going to take them all the way back to the moment when those brave men signed the Declaration of Independence, doing it knowing full well that they were risking their lives for freedom. It's going to break it all down in a way that kids can actually understand and enjoy. It's not going to water it down. It's not going to make it seem like boring schoolwork. Because if you care about raising kids who know where this country came from, why it is worth preserving, then this is truly something you're going to want to grab. The best part is it's completely free. All you pay is $2 for the shipping and handling. So to pick one of these up, head on over to freeusabirthday.com. Very simple, freeusabirthday.com, and pick up the Kids Guide to America's 250th birthday for your children today. Because America's story matters, and we need to make sure that the next generation knows it. All right. You can also use that QR code on screen. Thank you so much. Yes, somebody on YouTube, Dwayne, says no toilet paper in a prison cell. Yeah, if he hates toilet paper that much, he's never going to have to worry about it ever again. He's going to... There's a lot worse. A lot of worse things that could happen. All right. So let's talk about the Dignity Act. Did you guys know? I mean, the way that it's being discussed right now, you would think they're saying the Dignity Act of 2026. You'd think that Maria Elvira Salazar, the Cuban-American Republican representative from Florida's 27th Congressional District, just came up with this recently, and all of these Republicans that have signed on to co-sponsor the bill, oh my gosh, you know, well, we are responding to the greatest immigration crisis in modern history. We put this together and, you know, this is the plan. What if I told you that this thing was floating around since at least 2021? This is 100% a production of the Joe Biden deep state elements of the federal government. Sure, it's written by a Republican. That's the perfect way that they can sneak it through the goalie. But from the very beginning, this is actually a write-up from youngimmigrants.com. And this, again, has been around. This is the 2023 iteration here, but it's been around since 2021. And they have been fine-tuning it and making it worse and worse and worse. Now, what this said in 2023, that it was a proposed piece of legislation aimed at comprehensively reforming the immigration system of the United States. Things such as a pathway to citizenship. It outlines a pathway to citizenship and legal status for undocumented illegal aliens, including those brought to this country as children, which are dreamers, and temporary protected status recipients, TPS, which President Trump has rejected temporary protected status and tried to get a lot of those people out. Now, it also claims that it would address border security, and that's one of the big things that Maria Elvira Salazar likes to talk about. But I see it merely as another expansion of the federal government. Can you imagine if this act is passed, how many more people we're going to have flooding over the southern border? Because essentially, it says that if you've been here since 2021, well, then you automatically are covered by this thing. But how do they prove that? People are going to say, I've been hiding out here since 1998. I got here in 2016. I've just been living in the sewers. I've been working under the table. I've been swinging a hammer, building roofs down in Louisiana. How do people check this stuff? I mean, and who the hell is going to check it? How many illegal aliens do we have in this country? Think about how many new employees we would have to hire for the Department of Homeland Security just to address the millions upon millions upon millions of people who claim status through the so-called Dignity Act. It's also going to rework the visa system. It will bring in new visa systems. It's going to give asylum and people seeking refugee status the same type of consideration they would get from the illegal aliens. And of course, it would probably put offices all around the country requiring them to be on hand to review these cases and to take these people in. It also undoubtedly would stop the mass deportation plan that President Trump is working on right now. So they have attempted to pass it every single year, and it's been unsuccessful. Now, I read you a couple of tweets from Brandon Gill yesterday, and I agree with him. The Dignity Act should be called the Amnesty Act. Now, they don't say amnesty in the bill. It is the perfect type of political wordsmithing that we see coming from Congress all the time, whether it's Democrats or Republicans. They take a turd, they wrap it up in a bow, and they call it dessert, and then they hand it to you on a plate. And if you look at that piece of shit sitting on a porcelain plate and say, I'm not going to eat dog shit, they're going to say, nowhere on this plate does it say dog shit. This is very clearly a delicious treat that I am telling you you should eat because I'm telling you that it's dessert. You are absolutely insane for telling me that it's dog shit. Now, Maria Salazar replies to Brandon Gill, and she does the really annoying Karen thing, you know, when women say words loud and then clap their hands with every syllable. She says, read the bill before you open your mouth. Calling the Dignity Act amnesty isn't just wrong, it's a deliberate distortion, and it exposes just how little you know about the bill. This is enforcement first, zero tolerance for criminals, permanent border security, and hard-earned requirements to step forward and face the law so American workers are protected, not undercut. Amnesty is the chaos you've defended, millions in the shadows, no control, no accountability, and a system that stopped working a long time ago. No shortcuts, no giveaways, no blanket forgiveness. That's law and order. That's dignity. Well, it sounds great, except it's a load of horseshit. Whose fault is it that our immigration system is broken. Well, it's certainly not the American people's fault. I am sick and tired, and I'm sure you're sick and tired of watching people who have flaunted the rules, who have broken the law, who have been rewarded time and time again. This is a slap in the face to every natural-born American citizen. This is a slap in the face to everyone who can't find a job in the industry that they are trained in, because there are illegal aliens and visa holders and students, all these people coming in from other countries, flooding our nation. It's even more of a slap in the face to every naturalized legal American citizen, every single person who immigrated to this country legally, who put in the work, who spent the money, who learned our language, who learned the Constitution, who came here to live the American dream, to integrate into our society and to become part of the fabric of America. It's a slap in the face to every single one of them. And without a doubt, even though she doesn't use the term amnesty anywhere in this bill, it's amnesty. Because guess who's affected? Dreamers, like I said, TPS recipients, and more. Now, I want to play a clip. I actually played this clip for you something like a year ago when there was some talk about this and they were unable to get it passed. But here, in this Dignity Act that Maria Salazar is looking to get passed, she completely gives away the ultimate plan. Now, they don't make a plan in this act to specifically give people mass citizenship, but she says somebody else will afterwards. This is just the first step. Take a listen to Maria.
We give them dignity. At some point in the future, another legislator will write another law to give them paths to citizenship. Right now, what we need to do is to buy peace for these people, allow them to stay, to continue working, because they are needed. You see, what I'm trying to do is to bring some common sense, which is the least common of all senses, to this conversation. The economy needs them. They do not have a criminal record. They have not gone into trouble. They have been here for a long time. They have roots in the country. Let them stay. Don't give them any type of federal programs. And allow them to pay taxes, help the Social Security Fund, and let them stay and contribute with the economy with no criminal record. What is wrong with that? We need them.
We don't need them. We don't want them. Here's the thing. She says, with no criminal record, by very nature of their presence here in the United States of America, every single illegal alien is a criminal. Simply because they've never been arrested, simply because they've never been indicted, simply because they have been arrested or indicted and then they were let off by some left-wing prosecutor in Boston or Minneapolis, should not automatically qualify them to gain some special status to jump to the front of the line. What about all of the other people who are still in the process of coming into our country legally? This is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit. So Maria Salazar and all of the Republicans that are sponsoring this legislation are telling you, the American people, that you're a effing moron, that you're too stupid to see what's happening right in front of your face. Jep863 says Kimberly Clark is going to have a shitty day because of that fire. I wonder if any election ballots were in there as well. We have chicken fires and now toilet paper. I don't think any election ballots were there. They wouldn't keep the election ballots with the toilet paper. But I think that really this guy was just a freaking moron. Now, also, my friend, Anarchist Owl, says, you say nothing could drive us to a measure like that. I submit to you, Marvin Heemeyer or the Real Tea Party, the Boston one, or gas prices of $8.69 a gallon near me. You must be in California. Okay, so Marvin Heemeyer, he's a hero of mine. Marvin Heemeyer fought against the system until basically they had stripped him of everything. Marvin Heemeyer truly had nothing left to lose because they had already used the system against him. It was so corrupt. So I think that he has a special case. The Boston Tea Party, definitely another special case. But the guy that set the toilet paper warehouse on fire, he wanted a raise. That's what it sounded like to me. He could have got another job, or maybe he could because there were too many illegal aliens in California. I guess stop supporting people who hate you. Well, let's take a look at some of the provisions within the Dignity Act. Now, inside the Dignity Act, they would also increase the cap on these people from 7% to 15%, which means that countries that are currently hitting the cap, countries like Mexico, India, China, they're allowed to legally immigrate at a certain rate. They would actually get a chance to double that. So that means immediately you would have an influx of potentially legal aliens that would now be coming into our country. That's a big deal. Okay, so not only would it codify the people who are already here illegally, it would open the door to allow many, many more people to come on in. Now, here's another provision from the bill, is that you can't use allegations of gang membership that already exist in state or federal databases to be used to determine whether or not someone is in a gang for amnesty purposes. So you know exactly what that would mean? Guess who would qualify under Maria Salazar's Dignity Act? Maryland man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. All of the MS-13 gang members who maybe have never been arrested. All of the Tren de Aragua gang members who may be here but have not yet been arrested. That means that they would all just be able to skate on through, and we wouldn't be able to use that knowledge of them being members of a gang. Let's take a look at a couple of other provisions right here. Oh, how about this? Maria Salazar's bill would immediately hand a bunch of checks to the lawyers, which are now going to be required to represent these illegal aliens in the undoubtedly millions upon millions of cases that would immediately hit the docket as a result of this. You know, the one good thing about this act is that perhaps there would be nobody left to prosecute any real American citizens. But then, of course, there's a lot of us out there who are actually committing crimes, and so that may be a problem. It would quite literally give loan forgiveness to any lawyers defending illegal aliens. So that means that if you're a left-wing lawyer who got into law school just to get out to work for some NGO, or because you want to represent illegal aliens and help them stick around, you get your loans paid off. Well, shit, that's a slap in the face to the people who are also paying their student loans. Why is it that you are assisting people who have done illegal things and you don't have to pay back the money that you took out to become your career? I still got student loans. I pay on them every freaking month. Here's another one. This one from Data Republican. She says, you probably don't even know this, but the word dignity in your bill's title carries decades of political science literature behind it. Dignity shifted from something that originates within the individual to something engineered from above by institutions, by these other organizations that hate us, by the UN, NGOs, and multilateral bodies. They invoke dignity now. That means the replacement of organic, inherited civic bonds with managed, contractual ones administered from a professional class. That is the tradition your bill's language is drawing from, whether you intend to do that or not. On the substance, the Dignity Act is amnesty. Let's, again, be honest. Symbolic barriers to permanent residency do not change that the bill provides a path to legal status for tens of millions of people who have already entered our country unlawfully. Others have dissected the policy details thoroughly, so I won't repeat that work here. But I want to press a different question. Why the insistence that this isn't amnesty? The most straightforward explanation is that you know your constituents oppose it. They voted for enforcement in the most demographically diverse Republican coalition in modern history. That coalition didn't ask for managed integration, it asked for sovereignty. The Founding Fathers built a republic from the bottom up, starting with human nature as it actually is, rooted in specific communities. The rules-based international order builds from the top down, starting with an abstract ideal and engineering populations to match it. Your bill, whatever its intentions, belongs to that second tradition, the one that is non-American. It assumes that cohesion can be manufactured through NGO programs, public schools, civic integration, managed assimilation, rather than protected through enforcement of the boundaries that a self-governing people chose to establish. That is not a conservative position. It's not a Republican position in any meaningful sense, and your constituents can see it. We see you. You are a fraud, Representative Salazar. So well put. Because that's exactly what this woman is doing. She has not taken a position that is conservative. She hasn't written a bill that addresses any of the concerns of her constituents. We, the people, are sick of our laws not being enforced. More than anything, we're sick of our laws being enforced unevenly. We're sick of being the target of the federal government. When we look around us and we see people with no claim to this nation or land walking around and receiving benefits that we ourselves don't even qualify for, it is supremely offensive to every single person who loves the United States of America, to every single person who wants to make sure that our children and our grandchildren have a future here, to every single person who has already long ago realized that the political class living in Washington, D.C. hates us with a passion. Maria Elvira Salazar, you have proven that to us once again. Matt Van Swole says, so I did exactly what you asked, Representative Salazar, and I sat down and read all 261 pages of your bill. It does support mass amnesty, and I'm going to tell you where. Pages 162 to 170, where she addresses the DREAM Act. You want conditional, lawful permanent resident status for illegal aliens who have continuously presented in the United States since January 1st, 2021. Again, how do we measure that? When you're going to have, even if people can't prove it, they're going to submit an application claiming that they have. And again, because we have tens of millions of illegal aliens in this country already, every single one of those people's claims are going to have to be adjudicated by an employee of the federal government that will undoubtedly be hired as a result of the passage of this bill. And then where's the money going to come from? Also, people who would be granted lawful permanent resident status are people who entered before the age of 18. Again, I don't care how old you were or how young you were or how old you were when you came to the United States of America illegally. I don't care if you came on your own. I don't care if your parents brought you on their back as they swam across the Rio Grande. I don't care if you hid in the cargo hold of a Boeing. I don't care if you hitched a ride on a steamboat. I don't care if you took a rubber dinghy from some far-flung Eastern nation. I don't want you here. I don't want your presence in this country to further hamper my pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this isn't about selfishness. This is not just me. This is me as an American citizen who has watched time and time again as people do not follow the laws and they are handed a get-out-of-jail-free card every fucking time. Pardon my French. Also, who would receive lawful permanent resident status? People who meet education, employment, or military service requirements. Again, that will have to be verified in one form or another through an exhaustive process, which is undoubtedly going to take years if they shut the border down right now. Do not allow another single person in, except for the people who are going to continue to come here legally, except for the doubling of the numbers of people who are going to be allowed in from certain countries who have already reached a cap. There is going to, we will have the largest immigration system in the history of the world. Okay. She thinks it's untenable now. It will be so untenable by the end of this exercise. Also, people who pass criminal background checks. Again, I go back to what I said previously. Just because somebody hasn't yet been indicted or been convicted does not mean they're not already a criminal. Their status in this country as an illegal makes them a criminal. And there have been so many cases, I have shown you probably hundreds of them at this point, where criminal illegal aliens broke the law and a left-wing prosecutor simply dropped the charges and allowed them to walk free so that they could go out there and rape your daughters again, or drink and drive and kill your father, or put a bullet in the brain of your grandmother. And who knows, even after they commit some heinous act like that, they may not even be convicted at the end of the day. And then on top of this, in Section 2102B3B, DACA recipients, Barack Hussein Obama's amnesty program, they get fast-tracked to get conditional green card status, which, guess what? By any other name, is mass amnesty. They just automatically get a free citizenship, or the free path to citizenship. But it goes even further. If you're ready, on pages 204 to 217, you present the Dignity Program. This is different than what we've been talking about so far. This is a separate track for illegal aliens who actually don't even qualify for the DREAM Act. And if you are an illegal alien who was continually present since December 31st of 2020, again, how are we going to check? If you pay a $1,000 upfront restitution fee, $1,000, think about how much of a drain they are going to be on the federal system, the amount of money they are going to be costing the United States of America. $1,000, that is a penny in a 55-gallon drum full of piss. You also have to submit biometrics and then pass a background check and have no felony convictions. Well, you can be a prolific criminal and have no felony convictions. You can have a rap sheet as long as my arm and be convicted of committing many, many misdemeanors and be just as much of a drain on society. But listen to this. You'll also get work authorization. You'll get travel authorization. So that means you can come and go from the United States as you please. You also get deferred removal for 7 years. And then after you complete that 7-year program where you'll pay $7,000 in total fees, $1,000 per year, if you stay employed, if you obey the laws, if you pay your taxes, then you will be granted what Maria Elvira Salazar calls dignity status. This is essentially a lawful non-immigrant status, which is renewable any number of times. You get the work and travel authorization, but the most important part that they are hiding in this bill is that it totally 100% suspends deportation of anybody who qualifies for this, which means it immediately 100% suspends deportation of virtually every single illegal alien here in the United States. This woman is a liar. This woman is a fraud. This woman hates America. This is such a slap in the face. Ah, my goodness. And to think, oh, look at this. Section 2303D basically blocks all deportations by ICE. Limitation on removal. An alien who appears to be prima facie eligible. That means, like, maybe they might be, if they appear prima facie eligible for status under this subtitle during the 24-month period following the date of enactment of this act, they may not be removed or fined based on their immigration status. That means that we just have to do whatever they want them to do. I cannot believe that anybody has signed on to this. Every single one of these people must think that they are untouchable. I urge anyone, I don't care. I feel like you could be a freaking dog. You could be a talking dog and register to run against any of these people who have co-signed and co-sponsored this bill, and you could probably beat them. Because if you're not pissed, if you weren't pissed before, then you sure as shit are going to be pissed now. Skank Hunt says, best show on Rumble. Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you, but that is high praise. Thank you. Cyrus the Great says they have to learn that doing things illegally can catch them up at any point. This will encourage legal immigration and discourage illegal immigration. Yes. Holding people accountable is the only way that we can ensure that people don't continue coming here illegally. We need to arrest and remove every single person, and we need to do it hard. We need to do it fast. You know what? I truthfully have no problem with the federal government hiring more ICE and Customs and Border Patrol enforcement. I have no problem with the government putting these people on the streets and just rounding up every single person. They cannot do it fast enough. Keep them in the airports. Get rid of as many of these people as you possibly can, but they're like cockroaches. They can very quickly scatter to the wind, hiding in so many different nooks and crannies around our country. I'm actually going to show you a brand new tool which might help you determine exactly where some of these cockroaches are. Hazel Kitty. Operation Wetback, 1954. Eisenhower deported 1.1 million illegals. 1 year. That's impressive. No computers, just pure manpower. I like that, and I think that we should continue on with that. AOB 22 says, but Zach, we need them to clean our toilets. Isn't that enough? I can drop a bunch of F-bombs here, but I wouldn't be a fucking lady. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I would love to hear from Tom Homan. I'd love to hear from people currently working within our immigration system. Now, Maria Elvira Salazar, and did you guys know that she used to be a fake news reporter down there in Florida? So that's why she can look you in the face and smile and lie and feel so good doing it. She's got zero soul. So she is continuing with her rhetoric, continuing to gaslight the people of her district and the people of America. The Dignity Act ends 40 years of amnesty. There's no fucking amnesty right now. There is lax enforcement. We have had administration after administration that allowed the problem to perpetuate. That is the reason we are at this impasse. And now, finally, in President Trump, we have an administration that is willing to start enforcing the laws that are already on the books. You know what? We don't need more laws. We don't need more laws. We don't need more government. But this will undoubtedly increase the size of the federal government. This will undoubtedly require the Congress of the United States of America to pass more laws, because there are so many different things here that this is now going to throw a big monkey wrench in. She says, no citizenship, no federal benefits. Well, you know what? They won't be illegal at that point. So why wouldn't they qualify for federal benefits? I guarantee somebody is going to make the case that we've allowed them to come into our country. We've now given them legal resident status. Of course they should apply for federal benefits. Criminals are deported, zero tolerance. Criminals are being deported right now. You are not doing anything to help the situation. You broke the law, you admit it, you pay for it. Well, every single one of the people that you're trying to give mass amnesty to broke the law. No other proposal is this tough. That's exactly why it's fair. No. No other proposal has been written because Congress is a bunch of spineless faggots, as far as I'm concerned. Call this amnesty, and you're not just wrong. You're locking America into the same broken system. No. President Trump right now, Customs and Border Patrol, ICE, local deals with police officers and various units. They are actively rounding these people up and getting rid of them. We don't need illegal aliens to clean our toilets. We don't need illegal aliens to run 7-Elevens. We don't need illegal aliens to build our houses. We need Americans to do those jobs. The jobs that you don't want to do when you're older, you do when you're younger. I have scrubbed a lot of shit out of a lot of toilets in my days. When I was in high school, I didn't have a bunch of jobs that I liked. I had jobs that I tolerated because I was 14 years old. I needed money to buy comic books or go out to lunch with my friends. And eventually I needed cigarettes and gas money, okay? And I did what I had to do to work those jobs. And I witnessed slowly as those jobs started filling up with people who were not Americans. You ask any of these kids nowadays, what's the biggest thing facing you? The job market. They can't get jobs. Even kids who go to freaking medical school, engineers, Doctors, they can't get freaking jobs. You know why? Because they're bringing them in from Pakistan. They're bringing them in with these fancy visas. And Maria Salazar has a plan for a whole new set of visas. She wants to bring in an additional 500,000 skilled workers every year. You know what that does? That takes those skilled positions away from American citizens. She's worried about the birth rates. Oh, you got a bunch of blue states with policies that are enforcing things on them that are killing their hormones, that are killing their sex drives, that are killing their ability to even have relationships. Red states are booming. We're having babies all over the place. Louis Beam Me Up says, Zach, go. Don't take any gruff from this swine. Thank you, my friends. Steel Monkey, actually, first of all, G. Fontes says, thanks, Zach. I hope you and yours have a safe trip and surely an awesome GART. We will certainly miss you. Thank you very much. I will be checking in with you guys. If it's possible for me to do a stream from my phone, I will. It'll be unscheduled, so you'll just have to have your notifications on. Steel Monkey says, last Friday I went to the Atlanta airport and an ICE agent, I went and thanked him and he gave me a challenge coin. Freaking awesome, dude. That's so cool. I was just going to say, I really hope that I see some ICE agents when I go to Jacksonville tomorrow or when I get to Nashville later on in the day. All right, so Maria Salazar is trying to give a fast track to people who have broken the law. Meanwhile, the governor of Mississippi and the state legislature have just signed a bill making illegal immigration a state crime, which is something that should be happening in every state in the union. They are now the latest state to take on immigration enforcement into their own hands because they realize that the feckless various agencies of the federal government, certainly Congress, don't appear to have the balls to do it. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves, Republican, is going to be signing Senate Bill 2114, which has passed both chambers of the Mississippi legislature. It's currently headed to his desk. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves has adopted a hardline stance on illegal immigration. Good. I like him already. He supports making illegal immigration a state crime. He's backed the use of bounty hunters for deportations. He signed legislation aimed at tightening voter citizenship verification. This guy is a dream as far as I'm concerned. Under SB 2114, an alien who enters or attempts to enter Mississippi directly from a foreign nation anywhere other than a lawful port of entry now faces state criminal charges. A misdemeanor with a minimum of 6 months in prison, escalating to felonies with up to 2 years or more when combined with other offenses. So if these illegal invaders are arrested for additional crimes, as they are often wont to do, they will tack on even more serious penalties with no early release, no parole, and no games. Good. We need to go hard. We need to go hard on every single one of these people. There should be no world in which people are receiving some type of benefit for breaking the law and coming here. There is no Western nation on planet Earth where I can just go and set up shop and say, hey, I just want to live here. I know I just came in illegally. You can do that pretty easily in Europe. All of those countries are right next to each other, and many of them are smaller than a lot of our states. Just go someplace and just walk into somebody's house and say, hey, you know what? I think I'd like to live here. And I'd also like for you to pay for my medical benefits. I'd also like for you to give me a cash stipend. And I demand you give me a job. Give me a job that one of your citizens wouldn't want to do. All right, so these are some other things. It requires full cooperation with federal immigration authorities like ICE and CBP. It mandates agreements under the 287G program, which is the program I've told you about. They deputize local law enforcement to assist as federal agents. And it also allows courts to order deportation and coordinate repatriation upon conviction. Now, obviously, left-wing groups, ACLU, they are already attacking the bill. They're probably going to try to take this to court. They claim it's going to lead to profiling and legal conflicts with federal authorities, but they argue during immigration enforcement, it should strictly be a federal responsibility, and they warn of constitutional challenges. Bring it on. Let's try. I'd like to see them go for it, and I'd like to see other states do what Mississippi is doing. I don't think it will hold the challenges from the ACLU because there is already a program designed to allow local municipalities to assist in immigration enforcement. So yeah, go ahead and do it. So the effects of a potential law, well, okay, I think that this is coming from ACLU. This is the ACLU of Mississippi. The effects of a potential law like SB 2114 would be devastating, not only for undocumented immigrants, but for all Mississippians. The new felony statute is vague, and it gives no mention of what a police officer should look for to question someone on how they entered Mississippi, and no probable cause standard for an arrest. This will undoubtedly result in racial profiling and the detention of citizens and people with legal status. SB 2114 could even put Mississippians at risk of being required to show their papers during routine interactions with law enforcement. Forcing local law enforcement to work for ICE would be a drain on local resources that are already scarce. In addition, Mississippi taxpayers will be forced to foot the bill when the enforcement of this law leads to constitutional rights violations, including lawsuits for the wrongful detainment of U.S. citizens. SB 2114 would result in an erosion of public safety. Numerous studies have shown people are less likely to come forward to seek police protection when they know calling 911 could result in their family member or a friend being deported. Good! Let them bleed out. At a time when trust in law enforcement is at an all-time low, this makes communities less safe. Well, here we have a commentary from a member of, I believe, the Mississippi Senate that was involved in writing this bill. Now, the drain on resources. This is always something that these groups say. But you might be shocked to learn that illegal aliens in the state of Mississippi actually cost the taxpayers over $100 million per year.
To it, as part of your proposals, you are proposing a bill to make illegal immigration a state crime, basically make arrest in the state of illegal immigrants without federal oversight. What is the state auditor, why is the state auditor interested in that issue?
Yeah, I'll tell you, we did an analysis last year and found that state taxpayer funds actually go to a variety of different programs that benefit illegal immigrants. So healthcare programs, education programs, of course, criminal justice costs are driven up when an illegal immigrant in Mississippi commits a crime. We found that the state spends about $100 million each year on illegal immigration here in Mississippi. And so that money really needs to be going to teacher salaries, cop salaries, tax cuts, roads and bridges, the stuff that makes our lives better. So how do we crack down on illegal immigration? Well, we need to be helping ICE and helping our federal partners do their job and enforcing illegal immigration laws here in the state of Mississippi.
To it, as part of your proposal.
So over $100 million annually. So you're telling me that getting rid of those people isn't going to save money? You know, here's the thing. My daughter, constantly, she's always calling me, Dad, my car's broken again. Well, honey, have you been getting the oil changed? Have you been keeping up with the maintenance? If you defer maintenance, it will cost you more in the long run. If you spend a little bit of money now, you can save a lot of money on the back end. And that's exactly what they're going to be doing in Mississippi. I applaud the efforts of Mississippi. Now let's talk about some people who came here legally. This is a major scandal that's just broken, determining that the State Department covered up a massive scandal, allowing 8 million non-immigrant visas to foreigners who were legally seeking entry into the United States. These would be for temporary basis, things like tourism, medical treatment, businesses, temporary work, study, other reasons that are along those lines. None of these people were claiming that they wanted to come here and stay. But even if they're coming temporarily, there is a vetting process, or theoretically, there's supposed to be a vetting process. And the scandal is that there wasn't. Because according to the Department of State, during the calendar years 2020 through 2023, the Department of State granted non-immigrant visas to approximately 8 million foreigners without conducting an in-person consular interview. The Department of State also did not bother to collect fingerprints or biometrics for an unknown number of visas during that exact same period. They effectively opened the doors and rubber stamped a bunch of applications. So what do they know about these people? Absolutely nothing. What are they going to do if people get arrested, if they give a fake name, if they've already gotten fake identification? We didn't have their fingerprints or anything on file. We can't link them to something. What if they go out there and commit a crime? They leave evidence at the crime. We get the fingerprints. Oh, they're not in the system. I guess we're not going to be able to figure out who they were. So in 2023, December 2023, Department of State and DHS agreed to expand the categories of visas and applicants whose consular interviews could be waived. They began that process on January 1st, 2024. By March of 2024, the Department of State began providing DHS and Customs and Border Protection with information on visa holders who did not receive interviews. Here's the cover-up. The fact that the original 25-page DHS Office of Inspector General report that was published in June of 2024, near the tail end of the Biden regime, it's now been scrubbed down to only 16 pages. What about the other 9 pages? Why was the original 25-page report scrubbed down to 16 pages? Probably because they don't want us to read what was actually in there. We do have some of the data that the images have been scrubbed from. Essentially, the Biden administration allowed at least 8 million foreigners into our country without properly vetting them, did not bother fingerprinting them, did not give them in-person interviews. So we really have no idea who any of these people are. It's very similar to what they did with the asylum seekers coming from Afghanistan, like the one who just shot the 2 National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. Exact same thing, except in that instance, the CIA said, oh yeah, this guy was a killer for us, so go ahead and let him in. Not a big deal. It's a big national security risk. Take a look here. You can see they did interview some 13.7 million people, but they didn't bother to interview another 12 million. Of those 12.4 million, 8 million were granted visas, despite the fact that they never even spoke to them. Then they have just over 1,000 where they don't even know what the hell happened. These are just ones that just snuck through the cracks, and virtually all of them were issued visas. All of this is a classic example of government malfeasance and laziness. This is what it looks like when the people working in your government don't care about following the law, can't be bothered to follow the rules, or simply want the quickest possible route to the destruction of your society. I think that's exactly what we're looking at right now. All right. I'm going to show you guys one final thing, and then I am going to go get Lisa. Now, I promised that you would have access to a new tool so you could find out where a lot of these cockroaches went. All right. This is data from the Refugee Resettlement Program that was previously humming right along here in the United States. You can actually use this tool from Morse Research to find out exactly how many refugees and of which nationality have been resettled in your state. It also tells you how much it cost you. So you can take a look here. Every single state has the information. You've got resettlement by country of origin. You've got the Spending Explorer, which is what tells you how much money it cost you. And you've got a breakdown of information from the Department of State showing how much money was spent on the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program, how much money was contributed to international organizations, how much money was spent on resettlement support centers, and how much money we just handed out to people regionally all around the world. That's just from one department, Department of State. All right, but then they've also got information from the Department of Health and Human Services. And let's just go ahead. Let's take a look at my home state of Florida. Well, I guess we can see all of them right here. California received the largest number. These are numbers from 2012 to 2026. California was number 1. Texas was number 2. New York, Washington, Michigan, Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Florida looks to be right about middle of the pack. We got 30,000 of them. And look at that. Look at that big number jump in 2024. But look at this. 2026, we've gotten 331. That is more than 10 times less than what came in 2024. The majority of our refugees appear to come from Cuba. And I have to be honest with you, if there was having to be a country where people came from, Cuba being people who are trying to escape communism, I don't have as much of a problem with it. But if we fix the relationship with Cuba, then those people can just go back. All right, honey, I am going to be leaving here in just a second. The second largest group of people that came in was from Venezuela, then the Democratic Republic of the Congo, then Afghanistan, then Syria, then Iraq, then Burma, then Colombia. Lowest number was from South Sudan, 70 people. Somalia, this is a number I've actually looked up. There's only about 400 Somalians here in the United States. Excuse me, in Florida, I should say. But the amount of money it cost us, $4.8 billion. $4.8 billion. And 79 sub-awardee organizations. So that means that the United States government gave $4.3 billion to non-governmental organizations that were working to place these people here in my state. Let me go ahead and share this, and you guys have fun taking a look and figuring out where your money is going and who exactly is receiving it. All right, before we continue, I have another special message from our friends over on Rumble. You guys, you know that banks are not your friends, neither is Congress, but banks are particularly heinous because they can shut off your cards, they can lock you out of your money overnight. They don't protect you, they control you, and that's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing the Rumble Wallet. It's a non-custodial wallet that's built for people who refuse to give up control, because with the Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can also own Tether Gold. It's real gold on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. It's not paper gold. It's not an IOU. It's real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. So you can buy it, sell it, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when those traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for that physical gold, which is very powerful. So when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using the Rumble Wallet. It's peer-to-peer, outside the banking system. No permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. The wallet is yours forever. You can get it from wallet.rumble.com, the QR code on screen, or just search for the Rumble Wallet on the App Store on your device. Thank you very much to Rumble. All right. Let me see here. I just want to make sure that I didn't have anything else that I just feel like I need to get out while we're here. I mentioned, well, oh my God. You know what? I do want to show this, because this, if people haven't figured out that Alex Jones is not a friend at this point, I hope that this drives it home. In this clip, Alex Jones and Robert Barnes are quite literally talking about committing a coup against President Donald Trump. Alex Jones asks, what do we have to do to 25th Amendment his ass? And then Robert Barnes goes into a plan of why they should do a coup on President Trump and make J.D. Vance president.
Compared to existential threat, how do we 25th Amendment his ass?
The problem is to get the 25th Amendment is harder than impeachment. You have to get 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate.
So what do we do?
Tackle Trump and pretend, let him pretend he's president, and publicly report that he's going through a health issue, and Vance take over. It literally needs to be something like that. It's that bad.
I've known you a long time. You've never called for a internal coup before.
Ever. But that's how dangerous this is. That's how risky it is for the
whole
world.
Yeah, if I was the Democrats, I'd stop poking Trump and messing with him. That only makes it worse. Like, you guys need to watch out. This isn't a guy acting like he's crazy. This is real.
What's there going to be to take over in 2026 or 2028 if this hits the fan? If we get it, he's threatening an extinction level event for the people of Iran tomorrow. Does nobody think there'll be any blowback from that? If he follows through on that, the whole world is screwed.
You were saying during the break, there's other ways to do this. People need to not just telling the truth, like Susie Walsh said. It's time to just not. Say what you just said.
Yeah, well, legally and constitutionally, the vice president is an independent elected official. The same as legally and constitutionally, the only oath any member of the military takes, any member of the State Department takes, any member of the intelligence community takes.
These guys are straight clowns, absolute clowns. I know there are people who still love and worship Alex Jones, but hopefully that has opened your mind. Now, why did they say that? Because they were expecting that President Trump was going to nuke Iran, which was never going to happen. There is now a peace framework that is happening in the Middle East. There was some reports that were coming out that said that Iran had closed the Straits of Hormuz. CNN had also published a fake letter from somebody allegedly within the Iranian government. President Trump said, we are now going to investigate CNN, not only CNN, but a whole host of different news outlets that were pushing these fake announcements, phony agreements, lists that were being circulated by total fraudsters and charlatans that have nothing to do with the real peace negotiations. And, of course, CNN and other mainstream outlets were also suggesting that Iran had actually closed the Straits of Hormuz. Pete Hegseth and Raisin Kane had spoken at a press conference earlier today and said that the real Iranian government needs to send a carrier pigeon to their troops who keep firing off missiles and tell them that they need to comply with the ceasefire. Israel isn't helping because they're attacking Lebanon, and it was allegedly closed. They allegedly closed the Straits of Hormuz because Israel kept attacking. Well, here's the thing. It turns out that what was being reported publicly is very different from what was actually happening privately. The Straits of Hormuz are open, and the Iranian government and the Trump administration are still in contact. Nothing has changed.
Media is saying that Iran has now closed off the Strait of Hormuz today in response to Israeli attacks on Lebanon. What's the White House response to that? And you just listed many military successes. I understand that. But strategically, how is the administration arguing that Iran does not have more economic leverage than it did before the start of the war?
Sure. Well, with respect to the first reporting out of Iranian state media, the president was made aware of those reports before I came to the podium. That is completely unacceptable. And again, this is a case of what they're saying publicly is different privately. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
Fake news. It's all just fake news. President Trump has also announced that J.D. Vance is going to be traveling to Pakistan to directly run the negotiations with Steve Witkoff, and I believe Jared, his son-in-law, is going to be there as well. So everything continues along. No need to 25th Amendment the president or to coup him. I was shocked that they would say that openly. And I hope that they get the blowback that it deserves to come along with it. I will end with this. The DOJ has just announced an investigation into Cassidy Hutchinson, the woman who lied along with the help of now former member of Congress Liz Cheney. So the Justice Department Civil Rights Division is the one that's going to be launching this investigation. Harmeet Dillon is actually spearheading it. She said the investigation into Ms. Hutchinson actually began several weeks ago after the Justice Department received a referral from a Trump ally in Congress who accused Ms. Hutchinson of lying to the special House committee that investigated the events of January 6th. During those explosive televised testimonies in June of 2022, Ms. Hutchinson, now 29, said that Mr. Trump had encouraged the crowd that gathered to hear him speak near the White House on January 6th to march to the Capitol, even though he knew it was armed and could turn violent. Now, the New York Times reported the Justice Department has assigned its Civil Rights Division to investigate Cassidy Hutchinson, the former White House aide who outraged President Trump 4 months ago with her testimony before Congress, implicating him in the violence that erupted at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. The move was a highly unusual one by Justice Department leadership, directing a criminal case that appears to involve accusations of lying to Congress to a specialized unit that normally focuses on systemic civil rights abuses like police misconduct and racial discrimination. If you'll remember, Cassidy Hutchinson testified in June 2022 that Trump got into the beast after his speech at the Ellipse on January 6th with the belief he would be driven to the Capitol. According to Ms. Hutchinson, who received the information from Tony Ornato, the assistant director of the Secret Service, Trump grew angry when he was informed that he was being driven back to the White House. And according to Ornato, allegedly, Trump shouted, "I'm the effing president, take me to the Capitol now." And then Hutchinson alleged that at this point, President Trump reached over to the driver, grabbed the steering wheel, and tried to commandeer the presidential limousine. Hutchinson then claimed the Secret Service agent Bobby Engel grabbed Trump's arm and took his hand off the steering wheel. The entire story was made up. The House Oversight Subcommittee, headed by Representative Barry Loudermilk from Georgia, later found that unreleased testimony by 4 White House employees present for President Trump's speech at the Ellipse directly contradicted claims that were made by Cassidy Hutchinson. She made it all up. That woman should be hauled into court. Well, now, at the base end, President Trump was not driving in the beast on that day. It was a totally different presidential limousine. We've also learned that Liz Cheney coached Cassidy Hutchinson before her testimony. That's another crime. So the list of Cassidy Hutchinson's 9 confirmed lies from her debunked testimony have been talked about on this channel before, but we will go ahead and talk about them very briefly before I leave for the day. All right. Now, Cassidy Hutchinson, number 1, she said President Trump tried to grab the steering wheel. Well, he wasn't in the beast, and the grabbing of the steering wheel never happened. Number 2, she said President Trump grabbed the neck of Bobby Engel. That obviously was a total lie. She said President Trump broke dishes and flipped tablecloths. That didn't happen either. She said President Trump claimed to have written a handwritten note on January 6th. Eric Hirschman, who was the lawyer for the White House, he actually wrote the note, and he testified to the fact that he was the one who wrote the note. She also said that her boss, Mark Meadows, called Roger Stone on January 5th to find out what would play out on January 6th, but Roger Stone never spoke with Mark Meadows outside of a conversation they had in the green room in 2019. Cassidy Hutchins said that Mark Meadows spoke with General Flynn on January 5th. General Flynn has never had a phone conversation with Mark Meadows. She also said General Flynn and Roger Stone participated by phone in a briefing in the War Room at the Willard Hotel with Mark Meadows on January 5th. Again, it did not happen. Number 8, Cassidy Hutchinson said Jeffrey Clark met with Rudy Giuliani and the Trump campaign at the White House. That was false. They've never met or communicated. And finally, number 9, Cassidy Hutchinson testified that Trump's White House counsel, Pat Cipollone, was at the White House on the morning of January 6th. And, of course, Pat Cipollone was not at the White House on January 6th. Cassidy Hutchinson is a liar, and I'm not surprised she's now under investigation by the Department of Justice. All right, let's go through these final thank yous. Let's see. Okay. And thank you very much to everybody watching over there on YouTube. If you haven't yet, please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. You guys could share the show. That would be really helpful as well. Let's see. I need to say thank you to Northern Pike. We the people should be disgusted that the illegal or not that comes to America and starts a business, gets grants, and they don't have to pay a tax for 10 years. Americans should get that, and we don't. Well, the thing is, they're getting those loans through the Small Business Association, and Americans would otherwise qualify for them if they weren't already taken up by the people coming from other countries. They're not eligible for them now, so I'm hoping that that will be a major influx of working capital for American businesses going forwards. Denise Ann says, Robert Burns has completely shocked me. I have stopped following him over the last several months, but this is absolutely crazy. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know what happened to him either. I used to think he had several good takes, but no more. Denise also says, thank you for all your hard work, Zach. I'm not going to be able to go this time, but I'm really hoping to go in June. I've already taken the days off, and I just got to save some money. Safe travels. Thank you for that, Denise, and I hope to see you in Deadwood. Misfit Angie says, appreciate you, Zach. Have fun in Nashville. Thank you so much, Angie, and thank you for the $20. Artsy Jones says, Zach, have a great GART and safe travels. God bless. Thank you so much, Joan. Appreciate the donation. Sherman 2009 says, Zach, go get Lisa. LOL. Thank you, Sherman. I'm about to. Northern Pike says, smack those clowns down, Rooster. Thank you so much for that, brother. All right. Now, over here on Pilled, I need to say thank you very much to Moon Baby, who says, appreciate you, Zach. Thank you for the phone. Darla says, we voted for the mass deportations. Get them out of here. Oh, and thanks, Zach. Thank you for that. No thanks, Joe says, thanks, Lisa and Zap. Happy midweek. Love your reporting. God bless and be safe. Thank you so much. Sean Joe, thank you for the can and the cookie. Darla, thank you for the cookie. The Strait of Hormuz is closed again. And what's up with Israel firing after the agreement Trump made with Iran to reopen it? Now it's closed again. Actually, it is fake news, so nothing to worry about there. We do have traffic moving through there. Sean Joe, thank you for the cookie. Thank you for another cookie. Look at the Republicans who signed it. Yes, we went over that list. It is from a bunch of blue areas. Louisiana, Indiana, Pennsylvania, New York, California, Nebraska, Washington. They are either farm or blue state Republicans in 2 retiring rhinos. Yes, absolutely. Darla says, just saw there's a high security alert for Florida and New Jersey. That's weird. I'll have to look into that. Don't know anything about it. Sean Joe, thank you for the cookie, and thank you for the can. And Filter Dog, thank you for the 222 gold pills. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Again, I will not be here tomorrow or Friday, but I will be back on Monday. You may see me doing an unscheduled stream during the next couple of days. We'll see what happens. Might be able to jump on my computer from my hotel room or something like that. Really appreciate you guys. Hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, help us out by sharing the show. I felt like today was a banger. Can't wait to clip this one up. Good luck. God bless. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you guys next time. I'll see some of you at GART. That would be awesome. If you are from the chat, make sure you come and say hello to me because I love meeting people in person. All right, you guys, love you. Peace.